If you're going to make something, it has to really resonate and resemble where it comes from.
The whole philosophy of biodynamics, it's all about looking after the land and viewing farmers as custodians of the land.
My name is Mike Brown.
I'm Melissa Brown,
The Managing Director and Chief Winemaker here at Gemtree.
viticulturist of Gemtree Wines in McLaren Vale.
Can you give us a brief history of Gemtree?
It's not brief. I'll try. So I'm a third generation grape grower. My grandfather was a market gardener at Marion, and he moved to this area in the 1960s, and he continued his market gardening from here, but he also planted a vineyard. And then my parents bought a vineyard here, and I joined our family business in the 1990s. Around the time I started working with my dad, I met Mike Brown, and he was an aspiring young winemaker, pretty good looking. And when he found out that my dad owned a few hundred acres of vineyards, pretty much sealed the deal. I attended a health retreat on Kangaroo Island. I came back from there with a raised consciousness about human health, the land, the environment.
And she said that there's going to be a lot of changes. I was expecting perhaps a small amount of change, but the change was instantaneous.
Around that time that Mike went to a workshop and tried all these biodynamic wines, and he came home to me and he said the wines were just amazing. They were just so vibrant and expressive, and he said, can we have a look at this method of farming?
It's about getting the healthiest possible quality product every year into the glass.
It's a recognition of a relationship with the lunar cycle. It's enlivening the soil, so a real focus on soil fertility, healthy soils, healthy vines, and that then translates into really flavoursome grapes.
And it's not necessarily what you do, it's what you don't do.
I've just noticed an incredible change in the energy around all of this land here.
The healthier the vines get, the easier essentially my job becomes.
There's just so much life that is now here, which wasn't here. We're sitting in the Gemtree Eco Trail. There's now a 1 kilometre walking trail through here with informational signage that educates visitors about the animals that live here and just the Australian environment in general.
We're not obligated to do this, and we haven't been driven by financial benefit. It is absolutely to give the next generation, the one after that, a reconnection with nature.
It's open to the public, it's free, it's a great place for families to visit. You can come and grab a picnic pack from our tasting room and a bottle of wine if you want, and then come down here and just go for a walk in nature and sit amongst nature.
We had the community in, and they helped us essentially plant the 50,000 native trees.
We've got the emus, bio and dino, and then we have the koala gunya, which is a rehabilitation area for injured koalas, and they're put back into the gunya to get used to having to fend for themselves before they actually do go back into the wild.
This is Gemtree's most unique site. We're right at the foothills, the eastern part of McLaren Flat, the highest altitude vineyard that we have. We're surrounded by magnificent eucalypt trees. Pick the grapes off the same site every year, which is exactly where I happen to be sitting. We take it into the winery. We go through the winemaking process with no additions made. It's all done naturally. It goes into a barrel. That barrel then comes out into this soil, exactly where the place where it was picked from, and is buried 2 metres underground for its aging process. The impact of the environment was removed to allow the earth, nature, to look after it. Subterra is the best expression of the variety, the place, and the vintage. A couple of years ago, both Melissa and I felt that the brand, the packaging, didn't reflect who we were. We worked very closely with the designer, and he presented the cut-off logo to us, and he said that you have the most unique opportunity to really tell your story. It was the gutsiest decision the business has ever made. To everybody out there who's drinking our wine or selling our wine or whatever and thinking, why would you ever consider cutting half your brand off? What you see above here is perhaps the label and what you drink. And what you don't see underneath is the most important part of what we do as a brand.
Working in a family business gives me a real purpose.
This brand, Gemtree, has given me the opportunity essentially every day to be the best version of myself.
It's also about looking after the land, making sure that I'm going to pass on this land to my kids in better condition than when I found it.
I want to show my children that you can do anything you want to do.